Last year, KSL investigated a spike in criminal activity, including gun violence, at an old abandoned water park in Salt Lake.
Yeah, it was pretty popular among teens, breaking into the old raging waters and posting their shenanigans right here on social media. Well, here we are 18 months later, and the problem is much, much bigger than just trespassing. In fact, it has homeowners asking if the city is doing enough to address the neighborhood neglect. Take a look at this Glendale neighborhood on paper, and there is a lot to love. You got the golf course, nice little park here, a few tennis courts, the Jordan River Trail, and doggone it,
this is a good neighborhood.
Yeah, in fact, so good. Longtime resident Dub Slade says more and more people are starting to move in.
We were okay with a few of them moving in. I had no idea that we were going to have 20 families as our new neighbors.
And he had no idea those neighbors would be parked. Yeah. Parked along the street for days, weeks, even months. When did RVs start showing up here?
I would say 9-10 months ago.
Just ask around the neighborhood, and the jokes
just kind of jokingly called it the RV park.
Yeah, those jokes have turned into legitimate concerns.
There's people taking a shower in the drinking fountain and homeless people all around.
That's Adrielle. She lives directly across the street. And ever since the RV set up shop there,
this one's been here for 3 weeks.
She says needles have been found in the yard.
Found some in here before and also on the island.
She took a picture of this guy. She says used an extension cord to steal power from her home. Public restroom at the park.
They're taking full-on showers over there, getting completely nude.
Has become their own personal bath. There have been fights. There have been fires. And if you're still not feeling the problem, imagine this.
And then with the tissue with human feces on it.
Yeah.
Found some just like kind of in this area.
Kind of gross.
I've had them up since that person was in my yard. So I'd say at least a year and a half.
How long have you been getting complaints?
At least the last year and a half, I'd say. Probably a little longer than that. But
Andrew Johnston is a former councilman and current director of Salt Lake City's homeless policy and outreach. And he is right. The complaints have been piling in. Through a public records request, the KSL investigators found in the 84104 zip code, which includes this strip along 17 South, parking complaints are up 287% in just the last couple of years. And homelessness complaints jumping 512%. That is a lot of complaining for a long time. Some of those complaints dating all the way back to 2017. The response?
We called parking enforcement.
We've called and asked for help, and, you know, the story we got is,
oh, well, I'm sorry, we can't do anything about it.
We're just not enforcing that right now.
Now, to be fair, in the last year alone, police have responded to the 1700 South area more than 100 times, dealing with assaults, drugs, weapons, thefts, you name it. But neighbors say police would not need to respond to crimes like that if the city would just respond to this. Do you feel like the city has been late to getting to address that problem there?
well, technically, we have a parking ordinance for 48 hours, but it wasn't really envisioned to enforce on people living in a vehicle. It was meant to be for vehicles that are left to park, right?
Johnston says the current city ordinance does not match up with the current city problem. True, parking enforcement can write up citations, but they cannot tow a vehicle with people inside. Police need to be involved. The health department needs to be involved. And getting everyone on the same page at the same time.
A lot of us feel defeated, like we have no hope.
Well, it appears that page has been missing.
So we've presented a pilot program for the city just this week to the city council to start talking through how do we address camping, car camping, RVs more effectively in the city, and have a humane approach as well.
And it's that human element that may be the city's biggest challenge. People living in these RVs, by federal definition, are not homeless, but it is a homeless issue.
If it gets towed, I'm devastated. That's everything I've got.
That's what everybody calls it, RV Row. It was like Tent City downtown. You know, they had all the tents there and called it Tent City, and this one was called RV Row.
Just days ago, the Pioneer Park Coalition called out Mayor Aaron Mendenhall for what they call a lack of enforcement of the city's anti-camping ordinance. And while it may appear these RVs are camping along 17 South, they do not fall under that ordinance. The only enforcement the city can use is illegal parking. enforcement.
But this is a great sight.
That on this day,
So this is a good day.
Oh, it's a great day.
It's exciting to see it go.
after weeks, months, even years of crime and constant complaints,
About time.
Yeah, it is.
is finally being carried out.
I was on a Zoom meeting inside and heard, so I peeked out the window and I'm clapping. In my meeting, everybody goes, "What are you clapping about?" I said, "The enforcement is finally happening across the street."
A victory for this Salt Lake neighborhood, a pat on the back for the city, but the overall fix
They'll park somewhere for a couple weeks and then they move and then they come back. And it's a vicious cycle all over again.
well, the overall fix is going to take much, much more than just a few tow trucks.
And she's right. The way that the laws are written right now, you can park in a spot for 48 hours and then move your RV around the block for 48 hours and then move back to your old spot for 48 hours. And so the cycle continues, yet the problem is still there. City says a pilot program that they're working on right now will focus on offering services to those who are living out of RVs and vans, eventually getting them into more stable housing. That is the hope. But until then, neighbors hope it doesn't take another 18 to 24 months for the city to respond to their complaints and enforce the parking laws.